everyone, it's Annie, and today I'm here with my September reading wrap-up. Like I have done in my most recent wrap-ups, I'm going to start with my lowest rated books, which for this month was only one 2.5 star book, and then go all the way up to my 5-star reads for the month. But before we get started, I want to show you my Ace sweater that I got. I am so happy with it. It is so cute and really soft and warm, and it was only $8, so I'm very happy with it. It's perfect for me, perfect for the new winter and fall months. I'm just very happy and cozy. So let's get started with this wrap up. The only 2.5 star book I read this month was Crier's War, which I read for my sapphic reading vlog, which should have been uploaded right before this, hopefully. It was not enjoyable for me. I went into it for Sci-fi September for the fantasy elements prompt, LGBT prompt, non-human MC prompt. Like, it fit so many prompts. It was perfect, and it's also such a popular sapphic read that I knew I had to do it for one of my vlogs, but I just didn't like it. It really did not feel sci-fi to me at all. Like, the fact that there were robots in it was the only sci-fi aspect, and they weren't even really, like, you know, the fact that they were robots wasn't that scientific, if you know what I mean. It felt more fantasy or kind of steampunk a little tiny bit, not really. It just wasn't my vibe that I like. I would have preferred something much more sci-fi heavy. And I just felt like the central romance was also not my cup of tea. Even though it was sapphic, I just felt like there was a weird power imbalance throughout the whole book, because like the human is basically a slave and the robot main character girl is like the princess and she's in charge of her. And I don't know, it just felt a little weird to me. I don't know if anyone else felt weird about that too. I know it's this is a beloved series. I will not be continuing it though, unfortunately, but at least I tried it. And the only 3-star book I read was Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I was reading this as part of the Down Memory Jane read-along, and okay. They don't get to Northanger Abbey until 50% through the book. Like, the first part of the book is so useless. And I don't know, I just didn't like Catherine, the main character. I felt like she was kind of annoying, and I don't know, this definitely wasn't my favorite Austen, probably my least favorite so far, if I'm being honest. It just, like I said, I felt like it could have been much shorter because they didn't get to the title place until halfway through the book. When they did get to Northanger Abbey, it did get pretty interesting. And I think like the interactions between the characters there was very interesting. But in the first part of the book, they were just going to Bath and doing nothing, pretty much. So I know it was like exposition, but it really didn't need to be for the whole first half of the book. Like, it could have been shortened up. So unfortunately, this didn't really work for me, but I only have one more Jane Austen to read, which is Emma, which I will be reading in November, so I'm excited to do that. And then I have a couple of 3.5 star books, the first of which is Noor by Nnedi Okorafor. It hurts a little bit to give this only 3.5, but I have to. It felt like I was reading it only because I love the author, and I do. She is one of my favorite authors, as I've said many times, but this just wasn't exactly my style. So I enjoyed it, and it was written very well, really creative. Nnedi Okorafor always has really strong female main characters, which I love. And this book centers around a character named AO, which stands for Artificial Organism. She is a human, but she has a lot of cyber augmentations that like causes people to judge her and say that she's not human and stuff like that. She faces a lot of prejudice like that, and it follows her story and this herdsman named DNA. So we have weird names here, and they kind of become like terrorists almost against this evil corporation that is really Amazon, but it's not called Amazon, which I think was pretty clever. I really liked that inclusion of it, and it has really interesting things to say about environmentalism and desertification and things like that. And it was really great, but I think there was a scene, I don't want to give it away, in the middle of the book that just didn't make any sense to me. And I'm kind of confused why it was included. And also, I just think the pacing was a little bit strange at times, and it ended very, very abruptly. So because of those things, I have to rate it at 3.5, but I mean, that's still a great rating. I still really enjoyed it, and you should all read Nadia Kodafor's works. And then the next 3.5 was A Wish in the Dark, which is a middle grade fantasy retelling of Les Mis set in a Thai-inspired world. So this boy named Pong grew up in a prison because he was born there. He didn't do anything wrong, and he's labeled as like a criminal even though he didn't do anything wrong. He was just born there. And he escapes from the prison and he has to go on the run. It's Les Mis. It's the story of Les Mis. And I think the retelling part of it was pretty successful from that standpoint, the Jean Valjean standpoint, but the Javert standpoint was not super successful for me because I really like Javert's character, and I understand that it's a middle grade, but you really need him to jump off the bridge because that's just the culmination of everything that went wrong in his life. And I think I understand that they couldn't have that. But the character, I believe her name was Nock, who was the kind of Javert stand-in. She was the daughter of the warden of this prison, and she was obsessed with catching Pong. It was interesting. I just think she could have been a stronger character in general. And also, the fantasy elements kind of threw me off a little bit. I think it might have been more successful for me personally if it wasn't so focused on the fantasy element, which was light. In this city, there is no fire. You're not allowed to use fire, and only the governor can create these orbs of light that people have to buy. And poor people can only use dim light, and then the rich people can use gold, bright light. And I don't know, it didn't really work for me so well. I think it could have been changed or just altogether gotten rid of. So, but I still really enjoyed it. The writing was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it, and I love everything Les Mis, so of course I'm gonna give this a good rating, so 3.5 it is. So now I have quite a few 4-star books to talk about. The first one is Sleeping Giants. It's only 4 stars. I'm really upset. I really wanted to love this book, and I did. I just think that the characters and the whole drama around the relationships among the characters really took away from it for me. I absolutely love what they did, what the author did with the whole sleeping giant thing. I don't want to give it away because it is absolutely amazing, and I loved it. I loved every single bit of that, and I really did love the format. It's told in an interview style, which I thought was so clever. I really liked the guy who was conducting the interviews and his personality. I really enjoyed that. But the few main characters, especially the pilots of this giant robot woman, which is such a cool concept, but the pilots themselves I did not really enjoy reading about at all, and the drama among them. So because that was such a big part of the book, that kind of took away from my enjoyment of it, but it was still a 4-star read. It was so creative. I absolutely loved it. I loved, it's so mind-blowing. I love the twist at the end, and I am really curious about the second book. I know it's a trilogy, and I am considering reading the second one, even though I didn't love this. So if you can convince me to continue with the series, please comment down below. The next 4-star read is A Clash of Steel, which I read for the Sapphic Reading vlog. So I'm not going to go too much into it here, but I really enjoyed it. The setting was really, really evocative, really well written. The 2 main characters were just a joy to read about. I loved their relationship, and I loved the found family aspect of the story with the ragtag group of sort of pirates. I thought the storytelling was a little weak, not the writing style was beautiful, but there were a couple of twists in there that felt to me like they were set up to be like these really big surprising twists, and they just weren't at all. It was very, very obvious from the get-go that that was gonna be the twist. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that kind of made it less than 5 stars for me. I wanted a little bit more impact from the story itself, but again, the two main characters and their relationship was so great and just the star of the show. So I highly, highly recommend this. It is a Treasure Island retelling. So if you're looking for a really, really good retelling, sapphic retelling, definitely check this out. And next, I'd like to talk about 2 buddy reads I did. The first was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, which I buddy read with Robin from the book Wormhole. I have their channel linked down below. Absolutely check it out. It's so, so good. I love their videos. And we really enjoyed this book. We both gave it, well, I gave it 4 stars. They're in between 4 and 5. We really enjoyed it. I've actually never read a John Green book, so this is like my introduction to the Green family, and I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people don't like the main character. I also don't, but I think that was very intentional on the author's part. Like, if she was too perfect and likable, it wouldn't be half as interesting. And I just really liked the sci-fi aspect of it. I think he blended the sci-fi and contemporary genres super well in this book. It was really, really a compelling read that made me want to keep reading and want to know more. It was really, really captivating and kept you on the edge of your seat. And I really, really liked the sci-fi element of it with these alien statues, because I just love that they remain a mystery basically the whole time, and that makes you want to read on. It makes you want to know more because they're just so mysterious and like so quiet. I love it. I thought it was a really creative story, really interesting cast of characters that really came alive, and I think it really captured our contemporary time extremely well. Maybe too well. It might date it in the next few years, to be honest, but especially with all the internet slang and meme references. But I thought it was a really good capture of like the zeitgeist of this last couple of years, and it was just really wonderfully done, and I'm definitely going to read A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor soon. And then the other buddy read I did this month was with Gloria, whose channel I'll also link down below. She has amazing videos, please. She really deserves more subs. She's great and she's such a delightful person. I love her. And we read The Nesting Dolls together, which is a historical fiction generational story. It follows 3 women who are part of a Russian Jewish family who have to go through a lot of strife and struggle in their lives. First, it deals with a woman named Daria who has to basically go to a gulag in Siberia, and it is so horrible. It's really, really hard to read, honestly, but it gets a bit easier with her descendants, her 2 descendants that they focus on. It is really, really good. I do love generational historical fiction stories, and I'm really, really interested in Russian culture and Russian history because I studied abroad in Russia, and I was really interested in learning more about it, and it was just really wonderfully done. It was long, but it was worth it. And then the last 4-star book was We Shall Sing a Song into the Deep, which is a novella, sci-fi novella. I read this for the Sci-fi September prompts, an unknown or underrated book, and a book dealing with water. It was really good. It is wild, so just buckle up, okay? It is about a cult, like kind of a Christian type cult, living in an old nuclear submarine under the water, and like holding on to the last nuclear missile in the world to bring about the Judgment Day. It is so weird. It's so cool. I don't know how the author came up with this. It is just bonkers. Like, oh my god, amazingly unique, creative story. The main character is great. I think the synopsis says this, so it's not a spoiler. She is the only girl on this submarine, and she's not really allowed to be there. So she has to keep that part of herself a secret, which is really interesting, kind of a la Mulan. I don't know, I just love that trope. And there's a lot of singing involved, hence the title. And wow, it is, I read this in one sitting, very, very captivating, very intense, and could be, really dramatic and just, ooh, it's so good. He packed so much into this little short book. It is really, really good. If you like sci-fi novellas, I highly recommend this one. It was so good. Then the only 4.5 star book I have this month is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World. I read this for my Reading Jess's Favorite Books reading vlog, and I really enjoyed it, obviously. There were just a lot of tropes in it that I didn't really like. It involves the blackmailing of an LGBT character trope, which I just really am kind of tired of. But aside from that, it was such a great book. It's a middle grade book about this girl named Ivy whose house is destroyed by a tornado, and while her house is also destroyed, she loses her notebook filled with drawings of girls holding hands. So now she's worried about that secret getting out. And there is so much family drama within her family. It was kind of really upsetting to read because I really felt for Ivy. I really wanted her to just get along and be loved by her family, and it was just really hard to read sometimes. But it was a really sweet, hard-hitting middle grade that I think is really important. It deals with so many important issues, and a lot of Jess's favorite books were very hard-hitting and emotional, so you're gonna hear a lot about that in the next two. So I read In the Dream House for the same blog. This is the beginning of my 5-star reads this month. This is a memoir about a woman who was in a lesbian relationship that was abusive, and it is very short but so hard-hitting and upsetting to read because of the subject matter, so definitely take that into account if you're thinking of reading it. It is really, really beautifully written, though. It's almost like poetry. It really reads almost like poetry. And Carmen Maria Machado's writing is so good, and I love all the references she puts to like Star Trek and stuff. That just made me love it even more. It is a really powerful book about a very important issue that needs to be talked about more. So I really admire her for putting her story out there for everyone to read about. That had to take a lot of courage and a lot of vulnerability, so I really admire her for that, and this is definitely a book that everyone should read if you're able to. And then I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder for the same blog. It is so good. I think this is my favorite book I read this month. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Just really made the true crime fan in me just really, really happy. It is a YA thriller about a girl who takes on this murder case that happened in her hometown, and the guy who was thought to have done it, she thinks is innocent. So she uses her senior project to try and prove his innocence, and it is so good. It has so many twists and turns. The writing is incredible. All of the characters were just so great. And I'm really glad I liked this because certain recent YA thrillers that I've read I have not liked, such as One of Us is Lying. This is so much better, and I cannot wait to read the sequels to it. I need more of Pippa, and I love them so much. I love all the characters, and everything is so good. It had the perfect amount of like Pippa's drama combined with the case that she's trying to solve, and it was genuinely scary at times. Like, I was scared for Pippa. It was so well done. If you want to know more about my thoughts, definitely check out that vlog. And then the last 5-star book I read this month was Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. Of course this is 5 stars. It is so great. I can't believe it took me this long to read it. It's so good, and I'm absolutely going to read more of Butler's works, probably starting with Parable of the Sower, because I just need more. Her writing is so good. Like, so good. There's a reason why she's a classic pupil. Like, seriously, her writing is masterful. And this book is about a woman named Dana who, for some reason that was never really explained, gets pulled back in time to the 1800s to a plantation where she has to save a little white boy from dying. And she's a Black woman, so this is kind of, you know, a problem. And she can't predict when she's going to go back. And this little boy ends up being one of her ancestors, so she has no choice but to save him in order to save herself. And oh my god, it explores so many complicated, complex feelings, and it has really interesting, well-developed characters. Not just Dana, but all of the side characters are so real. They really pop off the page. And wow, I felt so much while reading this. It is so powerful. Really, really well done. This is just, if you haven't picked this up yet, don't be like me and keep waiting. You really need to. There's a reason why it's so popular. It is one of the best books I've read, absolutely. And then I have a bonus book. I didn't write this book at all. This is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. This book is a novella, very short, about 100 pages long. It is a horror novella, which I read for my sapphic reading vlog, and it was wild. It was disgusting and terrifying and really, yeah, it's gross. So if you don't like gross horror, probably steer clear from this, but it was really twisty, very surprising and shocking. I did not expect it to take the turn it took. I can't say anything because the book was so short that anything I say will give everything away. So you'll just have to trust me. It was really good. Like, I don't want to say enjoyed it, but I was so captivated by it. I read it very quickly because I didn't put it down. It was just wild, just a wild ride from start to finish. It really goes from 0 to 60 so fast. It was really good. And if you're looking for a good horror novella, definitely check this one out. I think you might enjoy it. So thank you guys so much for watching this wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know down in the comments what your favorite book you read this month was. I'd love to know. And thank you so much. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!